What an interesting few months it has been for Bengals tackle Jonah Williams. Now, if you remember a few months back, Bengals signed Orlando Brown Jr. Jonah Williams says, "Get me the heck out of Cincinnati. I want nothing to do with this team, nothing but negative vibes out of the Jonah Williams camp." Or was that what really happened? I think one of the things about the offseason, as we all know, and we have to be very careful and mindful of, is things get blown out of proportion. There's not a lot to talk about. You dig for any and everything you can to talk about. And some stuff gets made a bigger deal than it really is. And I think Jonah Williams here, after you watch the way he's talked about the Bengals and he's been carrying himself in these interviews the last month and a half, it really feels like he may have handled things wrong. The organization may have handled things wrong, but it wasn't this unbreakable or unfixable issue here between these two sides. Jonah Williams had brought it up. He was like, "Hey, look, I was bringing a kid into this world. I was rehabbing a knee. There was a lot going on in Jonah Williams' head, and Jonah Williams is, at the time of this particular signing. Meanwhile, you see all this happening, and the Bengals say, "Hey, we're going to sign Orlando Brown Jr." And they don't say, "Hey," they don't say it at all. They don't communicate with Jonah Williams at all, we learned. And Jonah Williams went out there and explained his reasoning for that, saying, "Hey, we requested a trade over a text because when this signing happened, you couldn't even get a hold of the Cincinnati Bengals organization." So really, looking back at this, I think and this is the signs you like to see out of Cincinnati and this organization and this team, is both sides can probably, and Williams kind of alluded to it. He didn't completely say it, but he alluded to it like, "Hey, look, had a lot going on. Obviously a lot going on in the mind, probably said some things or may have overreacted a little bit, but understandably so why he did." The Bengals, on the other hand, yeah, if this is a guy that you believe was on your team, you want to be a part of your team, you should probably communicate that to your starter, that you're going to replace him or you're going to move him or tell him your plans. And you don't want to find out that kind of news over text. It's almost like, again, not the same extreme, but it's close, where you find out over text, which he said he did. He found over text, over Apple News, that, "Hey, you're being replaced at left tackle." That's kind of one of the last things you want to have happen. So you can understand why he was a little bit slighted there. Both sides could have, Bengals could have communicated a little better. Jonah Williams maybe been a little bit more patient. Nonetheless, all that being said, Joe Burrow goes out there, says he talked to Jonah Williams, reached out to him, and that's what you want out of your leaders. I would imagine, we don't hear about it, I would imagine some of the coaches, some of the staff, some of the organization talked to Jonah Williams as well. They went out there, mended those broken bridges, if you will. And now we look at Jonah Williams coming into camp. We've seen his first interview middle of June, had one here just a couple of days ago, where all happiness out of Jonah Williams, all optimism. He's had nothing but good things to say about the organization. He's had nothing but good things to say about how he wanted to go out and become a better player today than he was yesterday. And that's his mindset. And I still love it. That's my favorite. I was very leery of Jonah Williams a couple of months ago. And it's like, yeah, a lot of us can get a little overreacted, just like he did, right? Understand the situation. But you look at the way this guy's carrying himself, and he's been rehabbing his rear end up. He's been playing his heart out. And he said he's more than happy to play right tackle. There's only 64 tackle positions in the league. And to have the opportunity to start in one of them, he's more than happy to do such a thing. Because the communication thing, well, that was the issue. And we've been seeing him come back on this Bengals team very optimistic, very positive, and just willing to work and grind to get better every single day. And that is just the attitude you want on this team. And it's the type of player you want on this team. So it's great to see that the little mishap there was mended. It was an issue that said, "Hey, we're going to work through this and we're going to keep you on this team." Because now you got Jonah Williams over here in interviews saying, "Hey, they ask him about the talent on this team." He's like, "This is the most talented offensive line we've had since I've been here." I do think it's possible we could be the best offensive line in the league. Now the question is, where do we stop at here? Do we see the Bengals in that conversation? Jonah Williams, former left tackle, moving to right tackle. You got to assume when he's healthy, if he can stay healthy, the guy's been dealing with so many injuries, but again, if he can stay healthy and he can progress, he's going to play better right tackle than he did left tackle for sure. You look at this Bengals interior, again, if they can stay healthy, you got Kappa, Volson, Karras. now an interior unit that's played a full season together. Well, kind of when they're healthy, played a full season together, and they're starting to figure things out. They're starting to solidify things. So you get to the start of this season and say, hey, at least the interior of this offensive line's got things figured out where they can keep the pocket clean enough for Burrow where he can step up and make a throw. If you remember Burrow's first season in the league, you remember when things are falling apart for the Bengals. Yeah, the tackles are struggling to contain their guys and you're getting pressure on Burrow. At least Burrow can step up. Before he couldn't do that. He took one step up and the interior was collapsing and falling apart too. So when you consider that, that's a big foundational piece for the Cincinnati Bengals. And now you say, well, Orlando Brown's going to come in. He's going to have to build some chemistry, work on things with this offensive line. A solid tackle. But again, new team, it's a transition. Jonah Williams transitioning to the right side. Looks like he's going to fall in place to be this Bengals right tackle and starter because he has been having an excellent training camp so far. Those two guys got to figure things out. They got the interior. Those two guys figure things out over time. The chemistry gets going. And all of a sudden, this Bengals offensive line can be a very good offensive line. I still don't think they're... Well, we'll see what happens with the Chiefs. The Chiefs lost some players, but when you let Mahomes stand back there for dang near a full second longer than Burrow does to throw the football, you know that offensive line was on another level. Same could be said about Jalen Hurts and that Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. They're ridiculous, and they're really good. So it might be a stretch to say the Bengals offensive line matches up with that. You got to like the optimism. He feels like the sky's the limit, though. He doesn't think anybody can stop him if they put their mind to it. So, again, love the optimism. To say the Bengals could be an top 10 offensive unit, though, sure, absolutely. You got a lot of veterans on this team. You got a second-year player now. Absolutely. The Cincinnati Bengals team could be a top 10 offensive line. Boy, if they can get that, I think that's what we as Bengals fans always think of. If they can get to the point of being a top 10 offensive line, an average offensive line, but a top 10, you give Joe Burrow time to throw the football, this offense, good luck. Just good luck stopping this offense. Again, what slowed them down last postseason? All the offensive line injuries. Give the guy a little bit of time to throw that rock around. Bengals would be great. I love, though, what we're hearing out of Jonah Williams and company right now for this Cincinnati Bengals team. Love your guys' thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.